Would you like to support Cubs Out Loud? One way is to join us over on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, patrons get early access to our shows, the pre and post show, and various other rewards. You can learn more at patreon.com/cubsoutloud. Thanks to all our patrons for their support in making this podcast. It's March 8th, 2026. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I don't brew the tea, I just serve it.
And that makes me Gary.
Everyone else is thinking it, and I just say it.
Welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length, episode number 818. I had to think there for a second. Spring can sometimes just go fuck itself.
It's not spring yet, technically.
As we are springing forward as it is spring.
Okay.
I always think of it as winter is December, January, February. Spring is March, April, May. Summer is June, July, August. And fall is September, October, November. Weather doesn't necessarily have to go by that specifically, because that's Mother Nature dealing with it, and she can be temperamental and just cuckoo off her rocker. If you listen
And
to
kind
her
of does
pre-show.
whatever she wants.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't have to listen to you. She don't need no man.
True that.
Yeah.
Anyways, Gary, what were we talking about today?
Well, it is 2026. And whether or not some people want to recognize it, we are coming up on 40 years of the bear community. And so, not this year specifically, but we're encroaching ever closer to 4 decades. And early on, the bear community adopted biker and leather culture aspects in terms of like clubs and gatherings. And some of those gatherings were called runs.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, bears are not necessarily known for running.
You're not running anywhere.
It's more like wandering, grazing,
Pouncing.
sleeping. Yes. Oh. It is now 5 years post-pandemic for the world. We spend a year roughly in lockdown in a whole like altered state, and now we've moved into the decade post to that. And so it kind of brought about this question, interestingly, and Damon actually kind of triggered this in a way. And this isn't like blame, it's just that he recently went to an event.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking, because like, is there a future for bear runs? And it kind of prompted some questions, which we'll get to, but I'm like, are they on the rise or the decline, or have they kind of flatlined? Because they used to be a staple of the community. Like, that was a thing that you did. I mean, we talked about it in the past. Like, you could not, any weekend of the year, there was an event happening somewhere, like definitively in the world, if not in the US.
Fact.
And I just don't know that that's really the case anymore, which is an ironic topic for me to bring up as the person who used to put one on for 15 years. So that is not lost on me.
With irony,
Yeah.
in a way. Is it
Yeah.
irony? Is it ironic? I guess it kind of is. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Don't you think? Yes. So, I mean, the reality is they were a way for us to commune, to gather. So I was kind of wondering about this in some different aspects. So like the first one is like, how many are there now? And not a specific number, but like my perception is that there's far less than there used to be. Like I don't hear people talking about these weekend events like there used to be. Like Sugar Bear Weekend used to be this time of year in Canada. My event was approximately this time of year. And so there's a lot less of them that are discussed, I think. And those that I think are around are the big ones.
Right.
Some of them with longevity.
So I'm going to go kind of into a Wayback Machine because I actually got on there randomly today, which I haven't been in quite a while because the site fucking sucks. But I got onto Bear 411 randomly today, just now. So there's a like I said, Wayback Machine situation, and kind of like was thinking about it. And this normally, when back in the day, it used to be the place to go to like find out where the bear runs are and everything else. And I was looking, and I'm like, oh, I mean, there's a decent amount coming up, but I'm trying to figure out like where everything is, and are these actual runs, or are these just like some of these are cruises? But bear runs and such, some of them I wouldn't necessarily call bear specific, like Smokeout is listed here. There's some international ones, but they're happening kind of monthly as opposed to, like we were saying before, every week. And they're all over the place. There used to be a bear guide. I forgot about that. But yeah, I agree. I think there's not nearly as many. And funnily enough, I was just looking at this, and the one I was thinking of, oh, there it is. I was like, I thought it wasn't on here. TBRU is this next weekend. That's one of the bigger ones. IBC, NAB in a way. Just trying to think of like the larger ones. There's Beef Dip, which I don't know if that's considered a bear run, but it's up there. There are fewer and farther between, I think, overall. I was thinking about it, looking at my packet of stuff that I received from NAB, because normally that's where, again, people would advertise their events, and there wasn't a whole lot in there. Like I could actually turn around and go look at it. Like it was not a whole lot. Maybe a couple of flyers here and there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. This sounds so old, man. Back in the day, like going to an event. Which, to be fair, I haven't been to an event in a number of years now. She might be triggered because she got COVID at one. It's not the run's fault. It's the 4-year-old flight that gave it to me. But anyways, I remember like there would be a lot of promotion, there would be advertising, there would be flyers, postcards, rack cards, like sometimes there would be a run guide and it would have ads in it. Like there would be parties, events hosted by future events. And I just don't see or hear any of that. Now, to be fair, like of the three of us, we're a bit of a range of a mix. Jeff's the individual that never really went to any of the events, and that's not really his gig, which is fine. And I'm
also
on the other end.
Affordability.
Well, right, and we'll talk about that. And then there's me on the other end who put on a freaking event for a decade and a half, and Damon went to a bunch, and now Damon's the one that goes places, and Jeff and I don't. Like, so I feel I'm a little out of touch about things, and yet I don't see and hear a lot of stuff. So, like, that whole promotion thing makes me feel and wonder that maybe there isn't much going on.
I think overall, and this may be a continuing theme for this event, this podcast. Oftentimes the ones that are in the know are the ones that already have been going or are going. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to know about it because you've already gone. You went the year before. You know when it's coming the following year, so you just sort of constantly cycle yourself into going. It's natural almost. It's oh hey, this went like NAB. Like NAB is for me and technically Jeff right now. It is 2 hours away. You can get there by car very easily. Everything is sort of self-contained in the hotel. They do have events out, like certain excursions, but mostly everything is in the hotel. So you can go get a hotel room, buy a pass, and you're set because everything is right around you. Most everything. It's gotten a little bit larger, so there's other hotels overflow, but everything is happening there, and that's sort of the way it works. You don't have to travel far, like we don't have to travel far to get to it, but I was telling you all about it during our what's going on. It was feeling for me at the beginning like I was doing it just to do it. Not that I was ever really truly excited about going. It was on my calendar, so let's go do it.
Right. Well, that kind of leads into another question I had, which is who is attending? Like, who's going to the event? Which we'll get to the next question in a moment as well. Like, because I know for the time frame that I put on my event, one of the things that I took into consideration a lot was the accessibility. Can people, attend for various factors? And some of the things, like to your point about travel and stuff, like if it's driving distance, that can be easier or more maneuverable than something that involves a flight. But some folks don't drive. And so they need transport of some kind. So can they take a train? Can they take a bus? Is there, something along those lines? Do they know people that are going and can carpool? A lot of those are also factors. So I think the further away an event is, the much more challenging it is to try to get and go to. Like, I would love to support Wes and Western Exposure, but maybe that's clear on the other side of the country. And it's Palm Springs, which is no cheap ticket. So that's got to, line up in a certain way for me to be able to swing it. I'm not saying it's expensive. I'm just saying it's not like me making a road trip over to, say, Cleveland.
Right.
So do you think that that's a factor for people these days in terms of like who's attending? I don't know in terms of like your experience when you went to NAB or World Bear recently, if it was pretty mixed in who's attending, or if there was like kind of notably a certain percentage of local versus like broader travel.
Yes and no. There were people from all over that were coming to NAB that I saw like that weekend. But but there was a lot of local. I saw a lot of people that I knew from Cincinnati, from Louisville, from Lexington, because they're, again, like, it's close. But I do think that their affordability and accessibility are a factor. There are a lot of people. I won't say a lot of people. There was a lot of like room sharing and carpooling and volunteering to get a free pass, like those kind of things. There's a lot of that going on, and those options are great, and I'm glad that they're available for some people. But it does play a factor. And again, it wasn't just the like locals that were like volunteering so they can get a free pass. It was people from all over that were volunteering, whether it's a obligation because they have a title or it's a financial need to volunteer to save some money. That's kind of going to be a factor. Jeff, you were going to say something, I thought. You were moving your microphone, so I thought you were going to say something.
No.
Oh, okay. You would move the microphone.
Sometimes I adjust the microphone because I'm adjusting my body. Anyways,
okay.
Go on, continue. Unfortunately, I don't have much input in this so far.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. So with that being said, I think it gets to the question of affordability. Because travel is a factor, but also, I mean, the run itself costs money. The accommodation costs money. And then sustenance. Mm-hmm. So like if food and drink is not included or partially included, mm-hmm. then the rest of it needs to come from somewhere.
Right.
And while I can appreciate people who are protein focused, I'm sorry, you're just not going to get enough to sustain you that way. No matter how busy you try to be.
Yeah. You can't eat you can't eat the sausage that you're sucking on.
Technically you can, but I don't think anybody was willing to do that.
That would be a horror movie. I guess, but you really shouldn't. I don't want to see that be a. Yeah, God no, not even that. Like, such a mess to clean up. But the anyway, yeah, that's the thing, and also like talking about affordability, that's very much a thing. Hey, the country, especially the United States, hey, it's getting kind of fucking awful to pay for anything these days. Mm. So everything is costing more, including like hotel rooms and getting things for a run. Like, so I'll use NAB because it's just the most recent one on my mind. You got lunch on Friday, lunch on Saturday, and dinner on Saturday. And the dinner on Saturday was sort of like they're all buffets in a way, but the dinner on Saturday was meant to be like the bigger, like nicer dinner. Mm-hmm. And so that's 3 meals out of 1, 2, like Thursday, Friday, 6, 9, like 9 meals. So you get a third of your meals. Ultimately for that event. And I know other events have like different availabilities for food options, but if you don't know, if you're not from the area, it can be a little difficult to find your own food or get your own food. And then you have to think about gas and getting there and procuring the food and getting it back, or sitting in a restaurant and eating with somebody or eating alone. It can be a lot. I'm thinking I went to Blackout in Chicago for Onyx. It was downtown, nice hotel, had a bar that had like food, but everything else was there was stuff around, but you had to walk to it. It was easy because you could walk to places, and but it was also a downtown area, so it wasn't like cheap. There were a few cheap eats, but like there was like a Benihana, for example. Like I remember that being like a block away. So it's just like you're going to be spending money potentially just to eat and sustain yourself, which you should do if you're at a run because you need that energy.
Well, that brings up an interesting point I was thinking about is like when we were younger, you could probably get away with not a lot of meals and do a lot of like snacking and like energy drink or caffeine stuff to just get you through. Because your body rebounds better.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you also have a weird mentality sometimes of like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. So you'll just like go, through the weekend on like 2 hours of sleep a night or something. And then, that turns into a whole thing that you crash when the whole weekend's over to get,
right.
to kind of catch up on sleep, although that's not really how that works. But yeah, so I think as you get older, a lot of that becomes a factor as well, like in terms of like your nutrition and stuff. And if you have certain, medical situations, you have to take medicine at specific times. You have to take it with food and or drink, and like that all becomes factors in your decisions for what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, how you're going to do it. Like you're talking about, like, if you go out for something, and my first thought is like, I need a fridge. Like I need to be able to put the leftovers into something, because whether like if I eat out, I get something, that has enough to have leftovers, or I get a second thing to go because maybe the facility we're at doesn't include a kitchen of some kind, so there isn't room service, maybe, and you're not necessarily feeling like paying for DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever. Although I just realized it's totally a business model you could make some bank on. You just need to go where the events are happening and have the thing that everybody wants, or a couple of the big things that everybody wants. And you can just, food truck it, nearby, or become the bear delivery, business or whatever.
Yeah. Food trucks is a thing. That was sort of became the thing for NAB. There was food truck, but that was only in the evenings. So it was a later night for food truck. So
right.
if you could survive not eating all day or snacking away and then get a nice big meal at the food truck,
right.
Good on you. But not this chubby, chunky bear. No, thank you. No. Especially not anymore.
Well, and I was just thinking about it. I was like, could I make money bringing cases upon cases of protein drinks to an event and just selling them? I'm just saying, like, they're quick, they're easy, they're portable, as long as they're chilled, and they taste good.
Some of you don't even have to chill until you open them.
True. I mean, but I don't know where the trade-off is. There's never any fucking ice in a hotel, so
True.
be like That'd be the other side business. I need to have an ice truck outside the facility and selling bags of ice nonstop.
Right.
Yeah, so I do think affordability is a big factor of it as well. I mean, and I'm not surprised to hear that people, you were saying, like, maybe we're like, room sharing and stuff, because that is one of the most cost effective ways, to do that. If you can pack 4 people into a room for every single night, then the room rate gets divided by 4. So let's say it's, $120 for the night. Well, that comes out to 30 a piece, which is much more, feasible, because it's a fourth of the cost. There is another side to that, though, as a balance. I know David knows exactly what I'm getting at. Like, if you're sharing a room with other people, you best like them other people, because you are going to be with them for 72 to 96 hours. Even if you're too busy frolicking and around and you're not in the room, you still are in there sometime, and your things are in there. So, like, yeah, it becomes a whole thing. You try to figure out who your good travel peeps are. I
don't think I learned many years ago. I am a either solo with Jim or with someone I like really, really know. And I'm not splitting a room. I'm not staying in a room with 3 or 4 people. I'm sorry, 3 other people. Nope. I need time to use a restroom. I need availability. I can't be waiting for your ass. I'm a tosser and a turner in a bed. Jim can talk about it. So and the worst part for me is I'm the opposite. So I try to get very I get self-conscious about how much I'm moving. So I don't sleep as well.
Right.
Because I don't want to disturb somebody. I will eventually fall asleep, and I will eventually probably more than likely pass out from exhaustion and maybe not move as much, but I become more conscious about it. It's not my thing. And so if there are few people in this world now that I would trust to stay in rooms with. Yeah. And sometimes it's better for me if I have a bed to myself.
Fair. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, Drew and I learned over the years that we're pretty good travel mates. And we figure out our, specifics. I don't know if I want to call them eccentricities. He runs hot, I run cold. So I will put on the air conditioning pretty severely, and he gets the bed next to the AC. I get the bed away from the AC. Like, he sleeps with a sheet. I sleep under all the covers. He just kind of figured those things out. We're not necessarily messy. He is very precise about his packing. So I don't feel like I'm, living with a freshman in college who just throws shit everywhere, and you're just like, what the hell? Like a suitcase exploded. So
yeah, you would not get along. I'm just going to say that right now, because I am even to this day, I am the it's around the suitcase. Somewhat.
Yeah. Yeah, I infamously, even if I'm only staying a place 2 dates, for the most part, I will unpack all my stuff. So all the toiletry stuff goes in the bathroom, and then all the clothes go in the drawers. To me, that's a thing. And then I put the luggage away because I don't want to be screwing around with the luggage the rest of the weekend. It got the stuff there. It's getting the stuff back home when it's done. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different aspects of that, and so that can also affect your affordability. Like, if you realize you can only tolerate having one other person with you, well, that only halves the cost, which is helpful, but still, it's another factor of things.
Yeah,
when it comes to that. And then I guess kind of the bigger question was, what purpose do they serve now? And by that I mean, I still think that bear runs are community events, and obviously camaraderie is a factor of that. But technology really has changed the landscape. And as we've kind of joked about, like, Dial-A-Dick is still a thing now. You can easily just get on an app and have, within minutes, if you're lucky, a good matchup, and or if you're not picky, and and then you get to have some fun, and it lasts 5-15 minutes, maybe longer. You know what I mean? And it's not much of anything. So I feel like in the earlier times of like bear runs, as much as like I did not promote my event or operate my event, as someone once said to me, a bear run is nothing more than an orgy that's catered. When I took a little umbrage, a little offense to that, I was like, bitch, I'm like, I could better coordinate an orgy than this shit. Like, this takes a lot more effort than that, just for the record.
Fair.
I'm just saying. Although I've heard stories of a person who puts on a regular sex event, some of the stories that I've heard that they've had to deal with, I'm like, oh, yep, that sounds realistic and like something I don't want to be bothered with. So, but no, I asked the question, like, if hooking up is not really one of the things, and camaraderie has really changed in a digital age, like, there are less spaces for us to gather in, less bars, less community centers, like, then what is it that it's doing? Like, what purpose is it serving? I get the impression that maybe now, more than in the past, bear runs are putting on like activities, as in like things that serve a purpose during that. So like it could be like, I mean, I did them. We did tours, wine tours, beer tours, distillery tours, and then classes, like, which is more of like an education learning model in a way. Which isn't something I think our community has been known a whole lot for. I would say I would find that predominantly way more in the leather community than in the bear community.
Yeah. Yeah. So some are, revolve around a contest of some kind. Like that's sort of a bigger thing. There's usually a title. TBRU is one, NAB is one, World Bear is one. There's usually some kind of like contest element, which is in a way sort of finding your ambassadors, for lack of a better phrase. Good or bad, I don't particularly. It depends on the contest itself, but like oftentimes your title holder is seen as your event's ambassador and spokesperson. So that's a thing. Education is a thing for several of these. If you go to NAB, usually during the day, there's all kinds of classes on different kinds of things, sometimes in excess, like several classes going on at the same time, which makes it difficult if you want to go to multiples. And then I do think there is a social coming together aspect to it. I don't go to I don't go to Midwest Bear Fest as much anymore. I haven't been in several years. But the main reason I used to go was it was one of the few times I got to see people I hadn't seen in a year. Sort of a reunion of sorts.
Right.
I don't discount that that's still a thing. There are still people, no matter which event I go to, that either I haven't seen before or I'm looking forward to seeing because this is the one or few opportunities that I get to see them. And some of that has changed. people's lives have changed and they're not as active or as engaging with the community that they once were. So they're not there as much. But it's usually good to see them if I get an opportunity to see them. So I think that's some of the main purposes. But for some, it sort of becomes their vacation. This is their like planned not pre-planned, but like whenever the event is, that's when they like set time aside. They make it so it's a thing, and they try to make the best of it. I know people that go to. I keep going back to NAB. They go to NAB, but they start it like earlier in the week. They like make a week of it, an extended weekend, or they go on the Wednesday night just because sometimes there's some early birds that come in that night and spend the whole weekend together. For a few of our friends, it is actually a reunion. It's one of the few times where a bunch of their family, extended or otherwise, come together and spend the weekend, sometimes exclusively, together, because it's one of the few opportunities that they get to spend together. So, do I think they still serve a purpose? Yes, in a way. But I don't I think the purpose has shifted. And in some ways it shifted from like the more like family camaraderie reunion aspect and also become a little bit more of opportunity to experience funs and pleasures that you wouldn't have otherwise because you're around a bunch of guys that you would believe are at some way are into you. You're getting that potential attraction, whether it's sexual or otherwise. You're getting because you're around in a group of bears. You're around a bunch of people that you find attractive and you would believe find you attractive. It's more than likely that you're going to connect with someone, even if it's just a 10-15 minutes in a dark room or a grinding on a dance floor kind of thing. Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that what you're looking to get out of it is a factor.
Yeah.
And I think there was a time where it served a significant importance for that camaraderie, for that connection, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case as much anymore.
Right.
And as I say that, I'm hesitant because the world that we're living in today definitely needs more connection and can thrive or benefit from that. But that takes finagling, to make that happen, to bring it together.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know ultimately what the future will hold. As someone had once said to me several years ago, they were like, bear runs will eventually be run by corporations.
Mm.
And I did not like hearing that. But I don't know that they were necessarily off the mark very much because I think they were forecasting that less and less small groups would be bringing these events forward or, managing them or coordinating them or, that kind of stuff. And I think that is fair because, look at, in my understanding, a lot of them have become LLCs, nonprofits. So they are a corporation of some kind, whether it be bigger or not. And I know like at the time this was being said, I think there was a lot more like sponsorship stuff that was happening. So like businesses were becoming a piece of the sustainability. Like in order for the event to exist or to continue, you had to have this outside money coming in.
Right.
And that in and of itself, can pose a little bit of a challenge because some people might have opinions about the potential influence of said money or whatever made that money possible, And as we've seen, especially with like pride events, that money can go away. So that also poses a challenge.
Yeah. A lot of this stuff, so most of the time, more often than not, a lot of these events run on sometimes the blood, sweat, and tears and dollars of people who are invested in wanting to make this event happen. And those people sometimes get burned out, sometimes no longer have the funds anymore, no longer can get the sponsorships, no longer are able to find the ways to make these things possible, to find the sponsors, to find the people. And on the flip of that, we're also finding that oftentimes sponsors are not giving the monies that they used to. Organizations, corporations, what have you, are not willing, for one reason or another, to give the monies that they once did. Whether that's they're tightening their own purse strings, or they don't want to give to an organization of this type or that type. And it does affect things in a lot of ways. And I think that's maybe one of the reasons why there are not as many runs, because I don't know if people have it in them to do it all anymore. Because the thing more often than not that happens is you get complaints, you get negative feedback, you get people that get online or get on social media and try to tear your event down for one reason or another. And that's never fun to look at or listen to or watch. And if you're not actively being a part of the, help, if you're not volunteering your time or energy, then kind of defeats, why are you saying all of these things about it? Yes, you maybe went and not had a great time, but why was that? Did you play a part in that? A run can only do so much. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we've talked about that before, I think a couple of times on here, like going to an event, part of the ownership of the experience is you. Like, to go to an event and then, complain about it or dog it and be like, oh, nobody talked to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, did you ever leave your room? Did you go to any of the activities or the events? Did you make an effort to interact and talk to other people? Because if you didn't, then like your criticism is maybe accurate or fair, but it's also very biased. It's not taking into account the other part of it.
Right.
And that's true of any activity or event. Like, this just isn't our community. And bear runs per se, that's true of everything. Yeah. It's like, oh, I went, to the local gay bingo, but, I didn't really have a good time. It's like, well, if you didn't interact and, and you kind of sat in the corner or whatever, well, then,
and you lost, like,
true.
Yeah. I give kudos to those that take the time and effort to put these events on, and I appreciate that effort and energy, because it's not easy. I'm sure, Gary, you can probably, have a bigger insight in that for the many years that you were doing one. But it comes to, like, to me, if an event were to, for lack of a better phrase, sell out and get a corporation and get the funding from an outside source, and that means that they play a role in how things go, then you can make the choice on whether you want to attend or not. That's a choice you can make too. You don't have to attend if you don't appreciate or want to support the dollars. You can boycott if you need to. You can just not go. No one is forcing you to attend.
Right. I also think like things that have happened, especially because of the pandemic and in recent years, play a factor in the challenges that are faced in putting on these events. Like we've talked about how an event suddenly found themselves being shut down because of like a public health emergency or the ownership of the hosting facility changing their mind or, you know, using a clause in the contract about, you know, if certain things were to occur, you know, like you just mentioned, was it on air? I don't want to spill tea about people's behaviors affecting the event, you know, and sometimes, no offense, people get real dick stupid, you know, and they do things that they probably shouldn't be doing because the event is not technically in a bathhouse. Right. So, yeah.
And even if it's in a bathhouse, consent kind of still matters, and there may be places in a bathhouse that you shouldn't be playing in. Just saying. It just it yeah, your behaviors potentially has an effect on the event itself. You can have you can have enough negative things in the hotel that says, oh, never mind, we're not gonna have you here anymore. Like goodbye. Like please find someplace else.
Yeah,
I can spill like kind of tea on one event where that kind of happened, where they're now in a new city because no one in the city was willing and able to give them accommodation contracts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. I mean,
yeah.
To go back to the affordability thing, like the cost to put on the event is a significant piece of it. And where is that money going to come from? Contracts require deposits, advance payments on things. And it can become very challenging if you can't deliver on that stuff.
Yep.
Like you perhaps promise certain numbers by certain timelines or deadlines, and that stuff doesn't happen, then that poses a challenge to the organizing group, you know, on what they're going to do. If you say that you're going to, you know, sell 50%, 60%, 70%, 80% of rooms or whatever it is, like you have to, you know, put down a $5,000 deposit when you sign the contract. And then as you get closer, because you're, you know, having certain services, usually 180 days, 120 days, 90 days, 60 days, and 30 days. Like you've got these timelines that you've got to deliver stuff. And if like the money isn't coming in because people aren't registering or, you know, other factors, yeah, it takes a significant amount of things to try to bring all of that together. And I'm not talking about this to like kind of chew up and make people think a certain way about events or that they shouldn't go or they shouldn't be supportive or that they're difficult to put on. I just want folks to know that there's a lot of the background stuff that you may not necessarily be aware of. And like we were saying, like costs have gone up on a lot of things. So like this many years out from the last time I put on an event, I think to myself, yeah, I don't even know what the cost of things would be now to try to put on stuff.
Right.
Since notably, I put on an event that was on the lower end of things in terms of cost. And some people did say they thought that it was rather on the cheap end, and they weren't quite sure how we were doing it. And it's like, well, because we weren't trying to make a profit. Like, I was literally the goal was to break even every year, and kind of worked. But wasn't necessarily great. But also, some people, you know, had opinions about stuff. Like when we did transport, we used school buses, and some people really didn't like that. And I'm like, sorry, bitch, school buses are a hell of a lot cheaper than coach buses. That's what that comes down to. Like, I get that some of us are princesses and, you know, we want to be pampered and you want your fat ass to fit like in a nice, you know, cushy chair. But We also didn't transport you a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
The tours were really the only thing in the latter years, and then the big event, going to the water park. But you could also ride share. You could drive yourself. You could, which some people did, you know. Some people absolutely told me, they're like, I can't, it'll hurt, you know, it bothers my back to be on the bus for that long or whatever. And I'm like, I totally get it, you know? So
yeah,
there's a lot of different factors behind that. So I don't know necessarily what the portends for the future. But my point about bringing up the line about corporations is like, yeah, like it takes stuff to make the thing happen. So maybe there will be a time when there's even fewer of them. It kind of depresses me a little bit, but I mean, to me, that's very similar to like even just the bear clubs in and of themselves. Like there are less of them around, and they were kind of the ones that were putting on the events. So I think that's also a factor. Like if there's not as many of them around, then who's hosting the event? You know, which sounds ironic for me to say because we never had a club. Just why we were so unique. As you know, it's like there was no entity or organization locally. There was no quote unquote community here. Hence, one of my early motivations in putting on the event was to bring it here because there was nothing here of that.
Right.
So
yeah,
it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, a lot of the bear clubs I know of or knew of are nowhere to be found. And as a matter of fact, the not newest one, but the one here is actually Kentucky Bourbon Bears. They just have a Queen City chapter. I don't know how well it's doing. I'll be blunt. Like I didn't join, but like there's not as nearly as many, and I think there is a sign of, like you said, like social media and digital, what have you, making it easier for us to find each other, but not always as easy for us to connect with each other.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think time will tell. I'd be interested to see where things are in a couple more years. Like say in like 2030 to 2035, like what will that landscape look like? Will we see a resurgence? Will we see things different? Will we see a lot more small events? Like there used to be a plethora, a whole like slew of them where they were almost kind of like, you know, sorry, given my line of work, I was about to rattle off a whole series of STI names, and that's not the connotation I want to make. My point is, like, there was just a lot of them, like that spread around, but they were little things, like, so they were smaller events in places. Some of them were very specific. So, like I mentioned, Sugar Bear Weekend, like that was around this time of year purposefully because it was maple tapping season. So, like that was one of the things is you went to maple houses and saw how maple syrup got made. Like that was a part of the reason why that event existed. So yeah, like there was more of that the local flavor, the local culture of those things was done. So I don't know, like if that'll be the case, maybe there will be more, you know, single day kind of items. I don't know.
Yeah, I could see. I agree. I could see like local, smaller, shorter events being a thing, like movies and like let's get together and have like a party. Like I see that a lot. Like we have like basically a dance party, like a circuit party that comes every now and then, and they sometimes have a theme that's related to a bear kind of event. So they will like all come together, and it's just like a night, and they go and they dance and they do other things, and it's sort of meant to be a thing, and they have it happen, and then it's done, and people go back to wherever they came from, and that's kind of the whole point of it. It's fine. It works. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. It's just kind of a thing. I think for me, I maybe because I'm used to it, I like the idea of an extended weekend, a run, an event where there's something, I don't want to say constantly happening, but there's something happening consistently throughout a weekend. Um, I'm one of the few that still watch a contest. I like seeing what the title holders have to say, or the potential title holders, the platforms that they're presenting. Um, but I also know that's also not being a thing, and that's probably a separate conversation. But I appreciate the effort that's being put into these things, and do my best to make the event fun for me while engaging with the event.
Right. Fair.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe the reality is that you need to cross over into other things as well. Like maybe it would be successful to do like something that I don't want to say gloms onto something else, but like is adjacent to it. So maybe like there's a con that's going to happen, like a nerd con of some kind. And by
Right.
I mean like, sci-fi, fantasy, comic, whatever. And so it just happens to be like, hey, are you a chubby hairy dude that likes other chubby hairy dudes and like tabletop game playing? We're gonna be in this city at this time doing this thing. You know what I
Yeah.
don't know, like.
No, that's very true. Very, very, very true.
I think about something that came about in 24 and 25, kind of 2024, and we were talking about it recently here. I brought it up. I don't know if you guys heard about gays in the park with garlic bread. So this was a thing that happened. You can look it up online and read about it. I think it started in like Seattle or Portland. It was kind of a pop-up like viral event, and then other cities did it as well. And it was known as bring your own garlic bread. And so the whole thing was like you just picked a place to go and everybody descended on it and brought their own garlic bread. Like and like chairs or a picnic blanket or whatever. It like doesn't seem to serve any technical purpose other than people are just getting together to eat. But like, and it's so unique. Both of your faces. So, but I admit, like they did it here in Erie, and that's why I brought it up recently at a nonprofit meeting thing. I was like, do we think that's going to happen again this year? Like, anyways.
I don't.
If there's something as like kind of quirky and original as that as a possibility, I think anything can has potential.
Come and get your garlic bread. We know the bears love to eat. Hey.
The interesting thing about that event was that you brought your own stuff. I mean, so I had made jokes when I knew this event was coming to our town. I was kind of like, and it's not. And when I say coming to our town, that's not the right way to phrase it. Like somebody local who was planning this because they saw it happen in another city. I should put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's a traveling show or tour or anything. But I said like. I said, the gays, they're pretty judgmental. Are they going to turn into a contest? Like, does everybody make their own garlic bread? Is there going to be a tasting thing? Like, and what if you're not good at it? Could you just pay somebody else? Like, could you pretend? Like, and is it about like is there like roasted garlic versus, not? I mean, it just, anyways, the mind reeled. And apparently my imagination was taking it too far because a bunch of people just shook their heads listening to me. Wow. Really?
That's so great, Gary. Like, uh-huh. Yeah.
Like, do you show up with a cooler? Do you bring your own, like, pizza oven? I don't know. Like, I had so many questions. I wanted to understand stuff.
This is my garlic bread. It comes from the wonderful place known as Crozier.
I knew you were going to say that. You're going to be like, it's fresh. I just bought it 30 minutes ago.
Yep. Yep.
Anyways.
Man. No.
Anything else as we're wrapping up, I think?
I'm going back to like the whole garlic salt. So that's where I'm at.
I need to extract the audio. Make that a thing for my soundboard.
I was just gonna say Jeff probably doesn't have that ready to go, but yeah.
No, I don't. But here we are, and here we go.
Yeah, I think we're good.
That's the end. I don't know what we actually figured out in this show, but tell us what you think. You can do that in plenty of ways, such as going to our website, cubsoutloud.com, leave it in a comment on the blog, shoot us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com, leave us a voicemail at 361-COL-TALK, that's 361-265-8255. Follow us on our socials on Blue Sky, Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube at Cubs Out Loud, the appropriate place in the URL. You can join our entourage chat over on Telegram at bit.ly/telegram-COL. Find out when we're planning or recording these shows, when someone remembers to put it on the calendar at bit.ly/calendar-COL. You can get various good thromong, such as whatever the Cubs say or whatever says. A consent is my foreplay shirt. A now that we're sticky, here's your cookie shirt. And plenty of different options over on our Zazzle store at zazzle.com/cubsoutloud. Some of those designs were designed by Smashy. You can find more of his work at tpublic.com/user/Smashy the Bear. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/cubsoutloud or send us a donation at paypal.me/cubsoutloud. Probably getting to the point where we need to do some computer upgrades. So that would be very helpful. And also, hosting is probably more needed. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet as BoxCub. I am also the writer for the story Match over on AO3. You can now find it at bit.ly/matchstoryAO3.
If you wish to get in touch with me, you can find me at TheaterCub79. That's TheaterCub79 on most various sites. Here on Discord, even. You can find me as Pup Umbra79 on Blue Sky. That Blue Sky is not safe for work. For safe for work stuff, you want DMA Gamer79 on Blue Sky and TikTok. Gary?
If you would like to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me online anywhere as GareBear73.
And with that, say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.
Bye.